Welcome, everybody. My name is Rajnikant Patel. I'm the retired executive and author of children's books. I'll be the moderator today. Our format today will be that the speaker will introduce the topic for 15 minutes. I'll have question and answer with the speaker for another 15 minutes, and then we'll turn it on to the audience. Let me introduce today's speaker. Deepakanandji has a bachelor's degree in electrical engineers and has several years experience working in the industry. From the early childhood, he had an inclination to be celibate and was in search of answers to puzzles of everyday life. His answers were obtained when he received self-realization through the grace of self-realized holistic scientist Sri A.M. Patel in 1983. Since then, he has pursued his dream to work selflessly to spread this message of holistic science for the upliftment of entire mankind and answering questions from people how to solve everyday life puzzles like who am I not, how to attain happiness, who is the creator of this world, how are karmas charged and discharged, what is the difference between religion and science, what are the root causes of anger, pride, deceit, and greed, how to adjust in life, avoid clashing and be happy, and many more puzzles. He has devoted his entire life to studying holistic science and visiting rural as well as urban areas in India, USA, UK, Canada, Europe, Africa, Australia, New Zealand to spread the scientific understanding of life through holistic science. He is an expert on holistic inner science and interpersonal relationship. He has attended many seminars, conferences, and question and answer sessions. Welcome, Deepakanandji.
Thank you, Mr. Patel, for introducing me.
Before we go to today's topic, we had some homework. Be mindful of the negativity in what we speak, which is 15% of outside speech, and what is going to be in the inside, which is about 85% of our speech. Does anybody have any feedback?
I can share my experience.
Okay, then I'll share mine.
Okay. I observed several times that when I talk rudely or I'm mad on someone or someone is mad on me, in both these situations, I won't feel good for a stretch of time, and that is the effect of the outside spoken speech. And because of that, what I spoke or what others told me, and what goes on within me, which is 85% as it is said, and I would feel and remain disturbed for a long time. And when I scan through, then I realize that, oh, that was where the mistake was committed, that I was mad on someone and I was outspoken with that person. And at other times when others tell me something, that is how the effectiveness of the speech I realized, and I started correcting myself. Thank you so much.
Excellent observation. Let me share my experience for the last 2 weeks. I've been observing myself, and I found that I typically get into 3 modes of speaking. One is for information exchange, which is very easy, which is cordial, and you just exchange information without any really hard feelings on the other side of the people. The second one is when somebody says, hey, this happened, that happened, then the tendency is to dive in without the other person's finishing it and say, yeah, it happened to me, this thing, blah, 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 blah. So that's why I observed that it mainly happens, we walk with group people here, and when we talk about this, Rajani has a tendency to talk more about it. So I last 1 week I've been really toning down on my interpreting people and trying to listen more. And the third category, which I found, is defense. If somebody blames me, tells me something, okay, then obviously like you said, Deepakanandji, without looking internally, you immediately want to defend yourself. Then I ask, why am I defending myself? Something happened. It was your inner, you did not listen to your inner conscience, and then you said something. So you should not be defending outrightly, but then trying to tell your version when the chance comes. And about the negative part, from very beginning, I've been toning down anyway because of a lot of experience. I've been pretty positive in most of the. Only thing when I'm observing myself, when something happens or we talk about people, then we try to see the negative instead of the positive person. That I've been getting very aware of day by day, and hopefully I'll come to a point where I, totally get out of. Any comment on that, Deepakanandji?
No, that's very true. That's very true. We all pass through such situations in life and we easily blame others for our weaknesses, our mistakes. But when we are mindful about our own words that are spoken, and also when we are mindful about what goes on within us, then it really opens our vision, our understanding that, hey, so much thing goes around inside and we keep blaming others, wherein truly the problem is within us. And that's how holistic science really help us correct ourselves so that the world, which is our reflection, naturally becomes perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, just one thing before we go to the next topic, today's topic. One thing I saw that I heard holistic science says that if you criticize a person, okay, you are losing out. If you have $10 in your pocket, you're losing $9, and you're only keeping $1 for yourself. So that you want to
Right.
explain that for a minute before we go to the next topic?
No, that's very true. That's very true. That we are a big loser in this whole drama of our life. And holistic science teaches us how can we gain, and we are always a gainer. That is, win-win situation is wonderfully achieved through the understanding of holistic science.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now we move to the today's topic is happiness and body. We have been talking about happiness of mind, happiness of speech, and now we come to the happiness of body. And we really think about the welfare of our body? Have you ever thought that this body is something useful to be taken for granted, not for taking for granted, but really pay attention to the. What does the body play a part in our life? What does holistic science say about it? We have granted five senses. How do we use them? Do we really ever bother to see what religion these five senses are in? We have how one gets shape and form of a body. How am I tall, short? We like to have holistic science viewpoint of that. And should we know where we came from, what we are doing, where we are going? Do we know about our body habits? Can body be trained with habits? In today's world, there's a lot of emphasis on eating proper food, hatha yoga, meditation. Do we really take those seriously? Are they beneficial? How does body get its diseases? Even, we are conscious about this or not conscious about it. Can we prevent diseases? And how can we connect our body with happiness? So these are some of the questions. Deepakanandji comes to my mind, and I'm sure audience will have more questions as time goes on.
Surely, we will try to understand the wonderful human body what we have got. Although holistic science says that when you're healthy, you are happy. So we have got such a wonderful human body, and we all know people really don't take care of their body. And only some are naturally conscious, and others become conscious when they catch some diseases and they start taking care of their body. And that's how it is. Uh, they start eating correctly, they take their medicines regularly work out, read health articles, and keep themselves updated with latest health information and food tips. And still, there are others who, in spite of the fact that they have caught some disease, they conveniently ignore uh, medical instructions given to them and seriously pay for their carelessness, uh, taking their medicine, not following food restrictions, and consequently, their close relations get into big trouble. Now, body plays a very important role in our life. Our human body is a wondrous creature. Humans are a wondrous creature of the Mother Nature, and the body what we have is the upright posture, standing on 2 feet, uh, similar to the shape of the universe, with its navel as the center plane. The upper part is where the angels exist, and the below part underground where the hellish creatures exist. These are some of the metaphysical aspect of the world. But human body is a wonderful vehicle and an instrument uh, that would make us happy as well as experience our true nature of bliss as pure soul who we are really. But of course, that is only on having self-realization. Let us first talk about health, because when the body is healthy, that's how we are happy. That's the most striking revelation of holistic science, and it is the parlance of the world. They also understand that when I'm happy, I mean, when I'm healthy, then I'm naturally happy. Health, as per WHO, is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, not merely absence of disease or infirmity, what they say, weak in body or mind. And they haven't amended this definition from almost like 1948. Health, as per the famous professor Vital Cost of homeopathy, has wonderfully explained definition of health. It is freedom from pain in the physical body and a state of well-being, freedom from passion, that is anger, pride, possessiveness, greed, likes and dislikes, on the emotional plane, resulting in a dynamic, lively state of serenity and calmness, and finally freedom from selfishness in our mental plane, mental sphere. And as a result, you can have total unification with the truth, that is ourself, who you are. And such an important role is played by our body, that is human body. And further, we can say about the holistic perspective of the body and the five senses what we have. Well, the body is the seat and temple of the all-knowing, almighty inner God, the pure soul that resides within everyone, every living being, and particularly with us humans, because it is only in humans that we can develop spiritually to the highest level of perfection. And we will see how holistic science reveals and opens the body understanding. Body is considered as time, and suffering is its end result. So wherever we see living being, wherever we see people, then we look at the body, but actually it is suffering only. So when we start looking around at suffering, because everyone is suffering, you pass from one situation to other, it is passing from one suffering to another. So just imagine identifying ourselves by our name, which is given to our body, the common experience of everyone. And we do everything as per the needs and demands of our body. all our life activities revolve around our body, and our primary activity is for survival, that is living, for which we need food, clothing, and housing. And since the body is time, if we have learned to deal with my own body amicably, then I have learned to manage time. As the good old saying goes, that time is the ultimate solution for every problem. So, if we have learned to manage and deal with our body, we can deal with other people, that is, other our relations. And another revelation what holistic science has given is body is our first relation. We say my body. So life is nothing but dealing with our relations, and body being our first relation. If we have learned to understand, know, and deal with our body, then we can be happy all the time. The five senses, they act as security guard for us. It makes us aware of our surroundings, and wherever there are problems, then uh, we are cautioned and we are alerted, telling us to take care. And that's how they help us safeguard our existence. And life is nothing but give and take. And we want happiness, then we must give happiness. So, holistic science suggests not to hurt anybody through our thought, speech, and action. And when we are living with that utmost care and caution, not hurting anybody, then naturally we'll be happy. So, body plays a very vital role in our life for our happiness. And eventually, when we rise against all our weaknesses, then we can experience the bliss of our inner God, that is spiritual happiness, also in the same body. Uh, we spend a lot of time grooming our body, as you have said, presenting it with ornaments. So, the holistic perspective about the body over here is we recognize ourselves, first of all, by our name, and so the body as uh, I'm so and so, and that is called ego. And so we must do everything to pacify our ego, because that is going to make us feel good and happy. Ego being our world, so body is our world. Body is my first home because I live in my body, and my second home truly is the place where I dwell, where I reside. So it is very well put by Professor Ben Shahar of Harvard University in his happiness class. The 14 tools of happiness, what he has given, and you follow those rules, those tools, and that's going to make you happy. So it is said you may pacify your ego by grooming your body with cream, lotion, perfume, deodorant, nice, neat haircut, wearing good clothes, shoes, and presenting it with ornaments so that you look good, which would definitely make you feel good and happy. And surely this contributes to your happiness. And as per holistic science, if you keep your thoughts, speech, and actions so that you don't hurt anybody, and ego is the sure way to be happy, you're not hurting anybody's ego through your thought, speech, and action, which, as per holistic science, if you see that you don't hurt foundation of any religion, because everyone follows the religion, you don't disrespect any religious preacher or guru because you always need a guide in your life. Never dislike or hate anybody because you also want everyone to like you, so you cannot afford to dislike or hate anybody. Never indulge in any perverted sensuality or passionate acts towards anyone except your legal spouse. So all these things which are given, it really helps to remain happy in our body. Never have excessive temptation about the food, what you said. Never have excessive temptation toward any particular taste of food. Eat diet of all six states in balance, like bitter, pungent, astringent, sour, salty, and sweet. When you don't take these food tastes in balance, that is where you catch a disease, and that becomes the cause of your pain and suffering. Never show disregard towards any living or dead in their presence or their absence. We don't want others doing that, so we must also not do for others. Never see anybody at fault, because everyone has come in the order of Mother Nature, and everybody is right wherever they are. So when we understand that, we would like to become instrument for others' welfare and for our own welfare. And when we live with such humility with ourselves, that is how I'll be happy, and I'll make others also happy. Now, you also talked about the shape and form, tall, short, fat, lean body. How do people get that? Now, the body, what we get as humans, or you see other creatures and their bodies, depending on our emotions, passions, and attitudes and spiritual development, we get the shape, the form, and the color of our body. Uh, we cannot be born in a particular family, in a particular country without a specific reason. And we know that, and it has become very popular in the world, that the karma, our karma plays a very important role in our life for whatever we are today. So, as per the saying goes, nothing comes from nothing truly means that everything is karmic effect, and it being a very elaborate subject in itself, it can be dealt separately. But the shape, color, and form of our body truly indicates our spiritual development and the passions, attitudes, and emotions what we have got from the past. So, should we know from where we came and where we have come, and what are we doing and where we'll be going? Yes, for lasting happiness, we must know all that. So, when you know that, then for that, you must, we must understand that although we got this physical body, there are three types of bodies we have within our body. First is the outer physical gross body, what everyone can see, even we can see in the mirror. We have inner subtle body, uh, the electrical body. We have the inner subtlest body, which is called the causal body. And we can understand that living in the gross body, we keep suffering happiness and pain, and truly, which is our destiny. But because of our ignorance of self and the holistic science, we are unaware of the science. We create a new causal body at the subtlest level by egoistic doership projections, uh, to be resulted in the future. Once caused and created at the subtlest level, after one dies, the nature takes over and converts these causes into gross physical body in any of the four forms of life, that is angelic, humans, plant, animals, or hellish form, to suffer based on the projected passions and attitudes. So causes and effects, effects and causes continuously goes on endlessly. But it is only in this human body, human form, that one can create, and one can also balance and nullify all the effects of the previous causes without creating new ones. And thus one can get freed and liberated from the vicious cycle of rebirth and associated suffering. And now about habits. We all know very well, uh, because of the unwatchful, inattentive thoughts, they become words, and in turn, our words become actions, they become habits, and finally, they become our nature, our character, and that's how we experience the world through our own destiny. So, we are the maker of our destiny. Here, holistic science has wonderfully said, you are wholly and solely responsible for yourselves. So, be watchful about your thoughts, about your words that are spoken, because the world become our world ultimately. And everybody have habits. In the absence of the understanding of holistic science, people are unwatchful about their words, actions, and habits. So uh, they don't know that they are hurting others, and they still keep complaining about others' behavior and habits. And and we can say that these habits can definitely be changed through firm resolution. Today, in this world, with a lot of emphasis on food, as the American author and philosopher has nicely said, you may consider yourself lucky when the food that you eat is also your medicine. So, if you eat properly, if you eat homemade, fresh, nutritious, quality food of all 6 days in balance, you'll always be happy. Working out, uh, having compulsory physical activities not only helps physically, but it's the best antidote against grief and all mental stresses and our mood. So, holistic science suggests doing sun salutation, which is a composite 12 posture yoga that activates all the endocrine glands, and you can supplement with uh, 10 to 15 to 45 minutes of stress relieving brisk walk. So our body is meant for moving. So workout is necessary to pacify and silence our mind. So one who is healthy will be the first person to be happy. So we must understand the science of posture, and we must understand the language, the body language, and act suitably. So sitting, walking, and sleeping with right postures adds to our happiness because they have real impact on our mood. It is also said that always keep smiling because the Almighty God is there within you. Everything is possible, nothing is impossible. And we all know nobody likes people with gloomy and sullen faces. So we must always be nice to people, greet people with a smile because we always want to smile and dealing positive from others. And since there is solution to every problem, there is solution to every problem because of the divinity of the inner God that resides within us. So we must always be positive and keep smiling. Further, we can say that we take bath every day, keep our body clean for our health, and because we want to be happy. Same way, practicing mindfulness on our actions, spoken words, and thoughts, uh, we will be purifying that. We would know ourselves better, so we know others also better. Through corrections and resolutions, uh, we can improve our interaction, and that's how we become amicable and bring abundant happiness in our life. So, uh, this is how we can understand that practicing mindfulness, we can improve ourselves, which contributes to our happiness. Further diseases, the world we see around is totally filled with organisms. There are organisms all around. There are uh, they are there, but it is a wonderful revelation by holistic science that the world is running by instrument and instrumental causes. What it means, those causes are within us, and when we get exposed to those organisms, those germs, that we catch the disease. So it's like everyone who get exposed to those germs, they don't fall sick, but only when those instrumental causes are there within us that we catch those diseases. And the best part is they have found that you have the remedy for all the diseases in your near surroundings only, but people don't get those remedy because of their destiny, the karmic causes for which they have to suffer, and they don't get the remedy, and until then they have to suffer. Medical science also suggests several preventive measures for perfect health, and we can always follow them for our health and keep ourselves healthy. But the best one is suggested by holistic science, when we dissolve from within, not to hurt any living being through our thought, speech, and action. That's how we can always be healthy and happy ourselves, and that's how we will be interacting with others also happily. And in this regard, we can say that happiness is definitely connected with our body. And through this holistic perspective, we can understand that body is our first relation. So when we take care of our body, our thought, speech, and actions through mindfulness, live with humility with our own self and with our relations, we will always be happy. And we have already seen that suffering is the end result of every situation. So handling suffering, uh, seeing the suffering as measure of our righteousness, whether I'm living correctly or wrongly, and taking the correct step of correcting myself will always make me happy ultimately. Body self ID, that is identification, is our ego. And when we take care of our ego by grooming appropriately, that will going to make us happy. So with this, we can say that our body is the temple and seat of the perpetual pure soul God. And when we live with sincerity, morality, and purity with ourselves and in all our dealing with others, we naturally bring abundant happiness and sure success in every situation of our life. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction. This is a very, very vast topic of our body. But I have a couple of questions here. You keep on saying body is suffering, but you know, body goes to suffering is two parts. One is pain, and one is physical happiness or outer happiness. So why you don't talk about that happiness, but you always talk about suffering?
That is true. It's like complaining and finding faults has become our second nature. So when we get exposed to holistic science, that is how you try to see things positively, and you will always, because holistic science, we are science ourselves because of the inner pure soul, all knowing God. And when we understand the science of our existence, our life and living, then we have solutions to every problem. So we will never get carried away by suffering, but we do the right things to fight that suffering and be happy all the time.
So what you're saying, suffering is not pain, but also a part of happiness.
Yeah, that's the best part. The reason is it's a wonderful revelation by holistic science. It says because happiness, it comes and goes. So the arrival of happiness makes me happy, but when the happiness is going, then it makes me upset. So that is also considered suffering because you feel when it comes, you feel happy, but when it goes, you don't feel good. And that's a wonderful thing. But to remain blissful, that is having lasting happiness, that is something special that you get when you understand the holistic science of life and living.
Yeah, thank you. Now, other thing, last question before we go to the audience. Of course, I have many questions, but you talk about the causes of disease, and this is when instrumental
Cause.
causes. What is this instrumental cause?
Okay, so five people get exposed to the same surrounding. Uh, Two of them catch the disease. The
Yeah.
others, they don't respond to anything. I mean, they don't, they say everything is fine. But the reason is the problem is within ourselves. Those instrumental causes, what it means, the outside germs are there. What if those germs also should have acted on the other three people, but it did not act because they did not have those causes which would make them sick. Okay, in the worldly language, people would say that those three people had immunity. The who did not have that immunity, so they caught the disease. But the fact is, there is a reason. And though that reason is because disease is a situation, a condition of pain and suffering.
Yes.
For that extent of time, which is that time is the karmic result. And when the time is short, you naturally get the right medication and you come out of the disease right away. And when the time is long, however you may try medication, they don't work and your disease get extended. Maybe you become serious. And of course, if the time has not come, then you come back again. So that is what we have to understand. Those instrumental causes are inside. And the best one to fight those negative causes is I don't want to hurt anyone through my thought, speech, and action. Because it is through my thought, speech, and action that I have laid causes. And due to that, those instrumental cause, they are the reason wherein I get affected. Because there are those bad people, they're all there outside. So there is nothing like bad people. But those negativities which are outside, they cannot bother you, they cannot hurt you unless those causes are there within you. So it is like, just imagine, there are thieves around, pickpocketers around, wherever we go. But who gives them inspiration to follow us, to pick our pocket? That's what we have to understand. And even if they try, not that all the time they succeed. So what makes them succeed, what makes us lose our pocket, that is where those instrumental causes are within. So holistic science says, when you are okay, everything would be okay. So correct yourself through this very wonderful, simple prayer. I don't want to hurt anyone through my thought, speech, and action. This would not only bring abundant happiness, but it will eventually take you to experience the bliss of our true self, who we are.
It's very, you explained it very, very well. Thank you very much for that. It's that is why I'm very happy that you've been sharing mind, speech, and body individually, so we can start, getting into the more of thinking what they do and they don't do and what we should be doing. With that, is there any questions? I'm sorry, you had said something, Deepakanandji?
No, that's true, very true.
Okay. Let's have questions from the audience. Anybody?
Deepakanandji,
yeah.
What you said about how a body can be in a good shape, if it is in a good shape, if you keep it, if you don't hurt anybody by body, mind, body, and speech, if you don't think about anybody bad, all these reasons can cause all the causes, and then you can have the instrumental problems. Now, after you have a problem, how does holistic science help you to resolve the problem, or if you cannot resolve it, you still be happy? Your body should feel good. How does it?
Wonderful question. First of all, as holistic science has wonderfully said, our body is our first relation. So how you have relation like your wife or your husband, so when they are in trouble, you pacify them, you help them. In the same way, your body is your first relation. And when you come across suffering, then first you separate out that, we say my body, my mind. So many times when your head is aching, you do like this. So what are you doing? If your wife is in trouble or your husband is in trouble, then you help them, right? So that's how we are ourselves. That's why it is said we are living in this body. The body is our first home. And yes, the mistake is already committed because you pass through those suffering. But you don't know your mistakes unless you come across those suffering. So that is a measure of our righteousness, how we have lived our life previously. So now it gives us that opportunity to correct ourselves. So it's like how I have fared previously in my exam, I get it in my results today. And understanding the results today, it gives me the opportunity to correct myself. So first thing is separation, and second thing is you deal that suffering positively by correcting yourself. Because you cannot be suffering out of nothing. You must have committed something somewhere due to which you are suffering. So with that opportunity, you correct yourself. And when you correct yourself, you are resolving also that you will not commit those mistakes again. And that's how you are bringing a change, a positive change within you, and a lasting change within you. So when you resolve, you decide not to do that again, eventually all mistakes that are committed already, anyway you're going to pass through that suffering, but that is going to take, you are going to take that positively as your mistake and correct them so that mistakes are not repeated, and you correct those mistakes. So when the outcome of that correction will come, you will always be happy.
But how do you correct your mistake that you made previously, and because of that you are suffering right now?
Right. First of all, okay, I got it. Sorry to interrupt you. See, first of all, we take bath every day. We take bath because we want to be physically neat and clean, because that contributes to our health, and eventually it contributes to our happiness. Same way, our actions, our thoughts, and our spoken words outside and inside, how are you going to bath them or correct them? By taking bath physically, you remove the dirt. In the same way, the thoughts, speech, and actions, you feel sorry for your wrongdoings. That will cleanse them. And when you resolve not to utter those words, not to think like that, or not to do like that, you are ascertaining yourself that you will not think negatively, you will not speak negatively, you will not act negatively. And that's how it will bring a change in you. That is the way you correct your thought, speech, and action.
Okay, that's how you are correcting your previous mistakes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Kirtiban.
So I have a question that in certain situations when you do not know how to say positively or how to resolve their differences, the other person. In that case, if you stay quiet or avoiding that situation, I don't know if it's better, or how do you do that? How do you
Okay, and it's like when you really don't know how to handle the situation, you will remain quiet, you will try to stay away from those situations as far as possible, but at the same time, from inside, you will resolve our decision to handle things positively, amicably, not to hurt anyone, itself will bring all the necessary changes in our thoughts, in our spoken words or inside words, and our actions naturally. We cannot quantify, we cannot elaborate how it is going to happen, but my decision that I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to think negative about anyone. I don't want to hurt anyone through my actions. This itself will bring all the changes, and it will open your insight how to handle that situation. It is like you cannot quantify, you cannot understand the method how you will be doing it, but your goal not to hurt them itself will bring all those changes naturally within you when you come across that situation. You don't know how it is going to happen, but your decision not to hurt anyone will bring all those changes naturally within you. Apparently you feel, oh, how am I going to do? But no, when you decide, then you will naturally learn, because all those things are within us. The reason is because of the all-knowing God, that knowledge is within us, but it needs to open out. And when we decide not to do, not to hurt anyone, then that knowledge will unfold itself naturally. You understand? Yeah, it's a time. But our goal, our resolution is very important. Our decision is very important, not to hurt anyone. And all the way you have to behave, the way you have to think, the way you have to say, it will come out naturally. When you have decided.
Is there anything you need to do before you come in interaction? Like
yes.
Some kind of prayer, I don't know, just try
no,
to...
prayer means it's like, okay, you are going to meet someone who has a very tricky nature. And you know that every time previously you dealt with that person, you had problems. So you decide before meeting the person that, come what may, I don't want to hurt that person through my thought, speech, and action. Whoever God you believe in, you remember that God and say, I don't want to hurt anyone. Please give me that inner strength. And this will bring the changes automatically. Even if you encounter a very tricky situation, first thing, you will remain quiet. Second thing, it will give you inspiration, your inner decision not to hurt anyone. That itself will give you inspiration how you have to deal, because you will remain cool and calm, and that's how you will deal naturally. But on the other side, let's say, if we have decided negatively, if that guy says like this, I'm not going to leave him. I'm not going to keep quiet. See, what have you done? You've already created those negativities within you. You are prepared to fight. You're not prepared to resolve. You're not prepared to pacify the situation, handle the situation amicably. That is where it brings changes naturally. Please unmute.
Go ahead. Oh. Unmute. Okay, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Right, yes.
This one comes to the point where you have to talk to your inner self all the time regarding the problems, right? Antarvacha.
True, very true.
That's the only way you can do it. Otherwise, you can't do it.
Exactly. The reason is there is no knowing power within you. You have the knowledge faculty within you. So with the help of that knowledge, whatever lapses you see, whatever shortcomings you see within, you guide yourself. Like how you tell others, your friend, your children, your wife, your other relations, the same way you tell yourself. Like if you see those players playing, maybe in the Wimbledon you'd have seen, they shout at themselves, hey, hit like this. We have overheard people having that conversation within themselves, but you can listen outside. Don't hit like that. Hit like this. That's how they say. So that's what you are telling yourself. And that's how, when others tell us, our ego gets hurt. But when we tell ourselves, then there won't be any ego, and we are able to accept that guidance easily. And that's very true. You have to learn to talk to yourself.
Not only,
And
that's
this,
the only, that's my
come again.
This is my experience. When I'm
True,
living
very true.
with my family here, and any members or anything, I will resolve it here first, and then act on it. Automatically go like that.
Very good. Very good. Wonderful. That's true.
Anybody else? I have a question, Deepakanandji.
Okay, please, Mr. Patel.
They say that body is made of 5 elements: earth,
Okay.
water, fire, air, and space. Can you
Right.
explain to that and how that relates to our living?
Okay. First of all, we will try to understand that how are these elements in our body. See, our body is primarily made up of inert matter, because they investigated a dead body, the ashes, and they found so much of calcium, so much of sodium, so much of phosphorus, so much of gold, so much, and they found that those chemical analysis they did, and but that is inert matter. But because of the body's association with the living aspect, body is considered to be made up of live matter. So that is the earth aspect of our body, the matter. The physical body, what you see, is the live matter, and that is the earth aspect of the body. Do you understand?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. It is said that 50 to 75% of the body weight is water.
Yes.
And it is found out that infants have 75% water, children have 65% water, and adult men have around 60%, whereas adult women have 55% of water. So the water is there in our body. We can understand that. Further, there is the fire element is the called tejas tattva. The glow we see on our body, not through application of cream and the lotions, but otherwise also there are natural oils and natural glow that we see is of this stage tattva. You know, at times when you are upset or when someone is really down, even health-wise if they are down, when their moral is down, then we see some darkness on their face, on their body. So that is what the electrical body, the fire is low in the body at that time. Further, the fire element helps in digestion, circulation, and operation of our external and inner body parts. Fire is the power, actually. Okay. Air is necessary for the solid food movements in our food canal, the food path. Without air, the food cannot move. If you have seen, because I was working in I took up the projects of cement industry, and cement is nothing but powder, solid powder. And to make it like a liquid, you aerate the powder. When you aerate the powder, it works like fluid and it moves. So air is necessary in our body for food movements, along with the physical, what they say, peristaltic movement, the physical movement of our in the food path. So any imbalance of air, fire, and water creates body diseases, body ailments. for which we need to take suitable medication to balance them. If we know very well that Ayurveda system of medicine, what you practice, the Western medicine is allopathic. So the Eastern medicine, system of medicine, that is Ayurveda, addresses these three problems as three dosh connected with air, fire and water, that is Vata, Pitta and Kapha respectively. And they deal in greater details, that's another subject, but we can understand that that is how these air, fire and water works in our body. Further, you have space, which is akash in our, and it is very important elemental aspect in our body. You know, the all-knowing God element within us, the pure soul, needs unoccupied free space for its existence. Space, free space. And we must appreciate the Mother Nature for its wonderful, articulate, miraculous, magical functioning skill, you can say, because it has made our body like a sponge. Although we see the body looks like a solid stuff, but it is porous.
Yeah.
It is like a sponge. And those air portion, they are all connected. It is totally porous, and due to which we are able to sense our touch everywhere, inside and outside our body, except on our external nails and the hair.
True.
Which we cut without any pain and groom for our beauty. So this is what the 5 elements work. This is how they work. It's a wonderful body. Our human body is a wonderful thing of the nature. And when we appreciate and start taking care of our body, that's our home. That's how we can always be happy.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for the explanation. I think we almost get to time. I'll summarize it, and then in the end, you can give us some homework for the next 2 weeks. We talked about a lot about the body, and I'm sure there's a lot of things to work. But you said body can be used for our happiness. If body is healthy, we are happy. Body is a temple or a church, so we need to be careful about it. Body is a part of suffering. If you manage body, we can manage time, we can manage relationship. Antenna of the bodies are the 5 senses, so we need to be very knowledgeable about that. And one thing which works inside is the ego, so we need to pacify the ego all the time to be happy. Body is the first home, so we should take care of our first home. You talked about the 9 code of conducts which can bring happiness to the body. You talked about where the shapes and the bodies of the come from. You also talked a very interesting topic. We talked about the 3 bodies which is within our body, which I was not aware of it, but thanks for bringing them out. Someday we'll talk more about it. And then you talk about how we get the cause and effect and how our body shapes from our causes and effect. You caused about habits. You said that we are responsible for ourselves, so we need to make a resolution of what we want to become, what we want to go through. And the real message I got out is that under no circumstances, you must always, always, always think not to hurt any living being in this world. And that, I think if we can do that, our life will be happy. So with that one, if you can tell us the homework, then we can think about over the next 2 weeks.
Exactly. Thanks for wrapping up. And as per today's topic, happiness connected with our body. So I would suggest we will be watchful. We will remain watchful for the other 2 weeks. on our actions. So we will be mindful about our actions and speech, that we will observe where all we are hurting others, and when we come to know, we will correct them and resolve not to hurt anybody through our thoughts, not thoughts, through our actions and speech. Words are expression of our thoughts only. So when we take care of our words, our thoughts are naturally taken care. So these two things, we resolve not to hurt anyone through my speech and actions, and I will remain mindful for these 2 weeks, and we will see our observation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.